What's up everyone? I want to talk about the topic that everyone wants to know about is getting bigger and stronger, and how can you sequence your training in order to do that. Now, there's many different ways to do this. There isn't just one way to build muscle and strength. I want to go over a certain way that I prefer to run for myself, and I've had success with certain clients. So there's many different, shall we say, periodization models. Now, the one that I'm going to show you here, this is more of a block style of periodization. You have things like linear. A linear periodization model will start off with volume, and then it will slowly, you will increase the intensity and reps will come down as you progress through a training block. This is very similar to linear periodization. It's just got a little bit of a different name, and it's slightly different with different blocks. That's why it's called block periodization. You'll also have what was popularized in the West Side Barbell by Louis Simmons. You have something called conjugate or concurrent style training, where you can train both for speed, strength and maximal strength and hypertrophy all at the same time, but that's a topic for another video. Now I want to get into how do we train to get bigger and stronger. How do we organize our training throughout the year or the macro cycle in order to get the most amount of gains. Now, I think you should have a plan for your training for a good couple of months in advance. You're not just going to be going in the gym and doing things randomly. Everything needs a specific purpose. Now I want to go over how we can organise things and the way I would advise to do things. So this is for generally someone who wants to get bigger and stronger. Now, whether you're a bodybuilder and a powerlifter, obviously they're two slightly different goals, but getting bigger and stronger is on a continuum. Now this can work for both. Okay, so let's get into it. Now, first thing, we're going to use a hypertrophy or volume phases. Now, let's just go as if we have someone who's been training for 1 to 2 years, got a little bit of muscle mass, but not really that strong just yet, and we've hit our first plateau in the gym. We don't really know what we're doing anymore. We've been coming in for a year and we've got some results, but nothing is happening now. What can we do to take that lifter and make them bigger and stronger? So first thing, we need a plan. Now, what I like to do, we want to train specifically for hypertrophy, and we want our volume to be up, okay? I'm going to take 3 to 6 months, 3 to 6 month period of building your base with higher reps. So our main exercises are all going to be in this 6 to 12 rep range. So we're talking whether it be things like squats, bench presses, rows, deadlifts of all different types. All our main stuff is going to be in that 6 to 12 rep range. We're going to be staying away from 4 to 6 for the first 3 to 6 months. Everything is going to be in that 6 to 12 rep range for the main movements, okay? Your assistance exercises, 8 to 20 rep range. Now things like whether it be hack squats, good mornings, different types of presses, overhead presses, dumbbell presses, even things like cable flies, cable rows, anything, all sorts of bodybuilding style movements, all in that 8 to 20 rep range. As long as we're training close to failure, we know we can get that hypertrophic stimulus, okay? So also we're going to be using exercises with a bigger range of motion, things that are going to put us in a disadvantageous position. Now, I spoke about this in previous videos. It's things like using, if you are going to squat, using something like a high bar squat, front squats, flat squats, hack squats, leg presses, all things that get you a nasty stretch on the quads. Same for your, let's say, your deadlift, where you're going to use things like stiff leg deadlifts, maybe deficit stiff leg deadlifts, movements that give you a greater range of motion and you can get a lot more bang for your buck. Same with upper body. You're going to use things like your close grip bench presses where you get a greater range of motion, even things like pause bench presses, dumbbell presses, all that stuff is going to be in your hypertrophy volume phase. We're trying to build that base and make it as big as possible. So that's what it's all about. We're trying to build that base, make it as big as possible, so then we can layer in our strength work on top. So you're going to spend about 3 to 6 months doing this, okay? Now there's ways that we can go about that, which that will be a topic for another video, but I just wanted to show you how you can go about it. So all 6 to 12 rep range for your main stuff, 8 to 20 rep range for your assistant stuff. You're going to run through that for 3 to 6 months, and then eventually, when things will start to stall, it may get a bit stale. Some of the movements you might not be progressing on them as much, yeah, and mentally as well, it will get a little bit just fatiguing at doing this for 6 months. But you're building your base, and as long as you're getting stronger on all these movements over time here, over the 6 month period, as I said, we're building that base and we're making it as wide as possible. So then what do we do? Now, as we know, the body gets used to the stimulus that we provide, something called adaptive decay. If we keep doing the exact same thing, the body is smart and the body will stop making adaptations. Now, there's ways that we could change that up and prolong this for 6 months, but for me, I'd rather just switch. One of the big ways we can give variation to a program is switching the rep ranges and the block or the style of training. So let's say we've done 6 months of hypertrophy and volume training, then we go into a strength phase and a lower volume phase. So this variation in itself, because we are in a strength and a lower volume phase, the volume comes down, but the intensity goes up. So there's a variable in itself that is going to warrant new adaptations, and it's going to stop this from becoming stale, and now we're going to force more adaptations. So the muscle that we've built here, we've built that base, now we're going to make it stronger. That makes sense. So we take all these slabs of muscle that we've built, and now we're going to make them stronger with neurological adaptations. We're going to let the architectural structure of the muscle make certain changes, things like pennation angle. We're going to let that happen in the strength or volume phase. So I like to do these for 2 to 3 months. You can do these for longer, obviously, but I'm just giving you a guideline. If we've done 2 to 3 months of this, your main exercises are going to be in that 4 to 6 rep range. So if we've been doing 6 months of 6 to 12, and all of a sudden we go into sets of 4, again, it's a different stimulus for the body. Assistance exercises are going to be 6 to 12. So if you were doing hack squats and you were doing sets of 15, and then all of a sudden we went into sets of 8, again, it's a different stimulus for the body, forces new adaptations, and we're not doing the same thing over and over again. We're going to use exercises which are more suited to strength. So this could be a perfect time to really hone in on your, let's say, high bar squats, even low bar competition squats, if you wanted to do that. A conventional deadlift could come back in, real wide grip bench presses, just any movements which are suited to strength. You're not going to be doing sets of 4 on your main exercises on a machine press or a machine row. You could, but it doesn't make sense. Can you see what I'm saying? You're going to stick to the machine exercises and things like that are going to be more in the 6 to 12 rep range, going close to failure, but your main stuff is going to be in that 4 to 6 rep range. So, as I said, what this does, we sharpen neurological efficiency, we let the body make the structural changes to be able to produce more force, and as I said, we take the base and the big slabs of muscle that were built and we make them stronger. Now, after 2 or 3 months of doing this could get a little bit more stale again. You're going to get stronger, you're going to be hitting numbers that you've never hit before. So then, at the end of this, we then switch back to a hypertrophy phase, and then the weights that we were using in the previous hypertrophy phase, we're now going to be using more weight on all of these exercises in that 6 to 12 rep range and the 8 to 20 rep range. Does that make sense? So we're going to go from 6 months to here, to 3 months of here, and then we're back here. There's 9 months of training, or a training idea that I've just give you. That's how you get bigger and stronger. We build our base, then we peak, make some neurological adaptations. We milk this for as we possibly can, and we switch back again to a volume phase, and we go again. Now, imagine if you've done something like this for 5 years, and every time you come back to a hypertrophy or volume phase, some of your lifts have went up by 10, 15, 20 pounds, and you're cycling through all of these with more weight all the time. Can you imagine how much bigger and stronger you're going to get in 5 years of just following a proper plan like this? Now, obviously, we can go into greater detail with all of this, and that will be a separate video. But I just wanted to get you all thinking of, you need a plan for your long-term training. You don't just rock up and you see what you're going to be doing for the next week or two. You should sit down now. I'd encourage you all to have a look at your training and go, okay, is there a clear progression where I'm going over the next couple of weeks or couple of months? If there isn't, you need to change something up. And I'd seriously have a little look at thinking about putting something like this into effect with your training plan, because if you don't have a plan, as I said, you are just, I've said this before, you're just throwing shit at the wall and trying to hope that it sticks. You need to get a plan. I know what I'm going to be doing for my next 6 months of training. I've got it all planned out. I know what phases I'm going to go to, and that's what you need to be doing. That's how you're going to get the best results, because each phase builds on top of one another. You do not just go in the gym one day and start testing singles, and then the next week you're doing set to 10. You're just fucking up the law of adaptation and progressive overload. The body doesn't know what to adapt to. You've got to give the body the stimulus, let it recover, make the adaptations. You're just consistently doing that over time, layering in the progressions. But you need a plan with your training. Okay, so just a quick overview. I'm going to get into more detail on each one of these specific phases. We can get into more different types of periodization models and the way we can break it down, how we can wave progressions each week through like a 6-month block. I can get into that, but I've only got so much space on the whiteboard, so look out for that. Any more questions, any more videos you'd like me to make, just let me know. Alright, talk to you soon.